Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another of our semi-weekly episodes. 47 of these things there. We're going to be putting that one down tonight, huh? 46 in the past? That just, wow. Time is flying right by. It was almost just under a year ago we decided to start doing this thing.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Would this episode be considered after hours, Droog?
I'm going to call this one another one of our rare after hours.
Okay.
So we've got another guest from across the globe. We've got Chris Vetterstock. I'm going to try to pronounce that correctly.
Close enough.
He's in Taiwan, and he works with CRE8 Designs, and they do a lot of fantastic work behind the scenes for a lot of names that everyone in our industry knows. It's just you didn't realize that it wasn't them doing the creation work. So, Bill, why don't you take us into this?
So tonight, we're going to reveal the wizard who oversees all of his own wizards for a lot of the most successful products in our industry for PC hardware. And this is, Drew, this is something that no one's ever done before, getting to know who the designer is behind these products. And Chris, could you please share with us how you got into this? What is your story and how you created CRE8 Design Studio?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Chris, as you guys heard. I'm from Belgium originally. I studied design in Antwerp and London. And it's actually in London that an owner of a Taiwanese company saw my year-end work and said, do you want to come to Taiwan for 6 months? The company that I worked for here was a mouse company, so computer mice. And I started their product design division there. And what happened is that after 6 years, I said, look, I wanna go back to Europe and start my career there. He said, well, we really don't want you to leave. So what if we spin off the design team and we actually form a new company? You promise you will work another 3 years for us, and we'll give you ownership in the company until it becomes yours. Nobody was going to do. I was at that time about 29, 28 years old. Nobody was going to do that in Belgium, so I said, okay, I'll give it a go, and that's how I ended up staying in Taiwan. So now we've been here 22 years. The company has grown from 7 people originally to 45 people now, and we do a lot of product design, mechanical engineering, branding, all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's not just necessarily PC hardware. It's also all types of products to make people's lives just more enjoyable, like high-end mountain bikes and just products for your home, housewares and personal products. Like, what are some of the other products besides PC hardware that you guys are designing, Chris?
So correct. So what happens is, obviously, being located in Taiwan, we specialize in products that are either manufactured in Taiwan or China. And I would say the ratio is about 60 to 70% electronics, and that includes consumer electronics and also gaming peripherals and all that. And then 30% is, in general, it gets crazy. People come to us with ideas and they say, can you make me a walk, or can you make me a bicycle, and we actually enjoy that, because we call that cross-pollination, where you get ideas from different industries and you mix them together, and actually that creates cool products that nobody saw coming. So we enjoy that we not only work in one industry and get really focused too much on one direction.
And what's interesting about your company is that somebody who just has an idea for a new product and they need help making it a reality, you guys are that bridge from anywhere in the world to production in Taiwan. And I've heard of companies that do this, but you have to really find them, like research and find who they are, or you just work with a design firm. You only get that far of getting the design done, and then you have to find a manufacturer where you actually offer the complete package of matching that conception of a product to making it a reality.
Yeah, correct. So And this is kind of a little bit there are not that many companies in the industry that do that, and the reason why is because we grew up in an OEM ODM manufacturing environment. Shortly put, a lot of stuff gets made in Taiwan and China. So as a design team, we learned very early on when to stop designing and when to see that it can be mass produced within budget, and that's actually something that we are different from others, and that's been part of our success. So and then also a little bit with the startup mentality that has been growing the last 5 years. It's interesting where you can have a company in Asia that does not only the product design but also the engineering, branding, packaging, quality control during manufacturing, and these things all get expensive. If you have to go and do that on the other side of the world, it's an expensive proposition. So by having somebody there, it helps a lot, keeps your budget down, and our clients really appreciate it. So you'll see that a lot of our work is for big companies, but we also work for startups, for instance.
Well, that's amazing. So somebody that's watching this, if they've been thinking, like, maybe they had the idea of a product that doesn't exist, and they're like,
Correct.
honey, I know that if somebody made this product, people would buy it and love it. And then maybe something happens where they inherit a bunch of money, or they want to take out a business loan, and they're like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's take this idea and make it a reality, and we'll start our own store, or we'll find distribution for it. And you guys provide making that happen for a lot of
Correct.
people out there.
Yeah, correct. And not even for startups, for everybody. I mean, our clients really value us for being foots on the ground where manufacturing happens, and we help them with getting their projects or their product through the whole process. Yeah.
And the big client that I noticed that you work with is Corsair.
Correct. Yeah.
And Corsair, and some people may want to argue with this, but Corsair, from my experience, I go as far as saying is the #1 hardware supplier in the States, at least. It would be, in my opinion, Corsair, and then NZXT, and then Cooler Master, and then some other brands. But Corsair, in my opinion, is #1. And it was amazing to discover that you guys were behind some of their most popular products. And you just finished, this must have been like last year, the Corsair Crystal 570X RGB
Correct.
gaming case.
Correct.
Can you tell like any little details behind the development of that case?
Correct. Well, yeah. First of all, in general, and that's not only Corsair, but to their credit, they're very good at that. Is working with game companies is somewhat different from other organizations. That the game companies tend to know very well what they want from a spec point of view, from a usability point of view, and they know their target market. While sometimes some of our other clients have no idea where they're going with a product, and it actually grows through the process. So this case, for instance, the 570, Corsair knew exactly where they wanted to go with it, and we implemented their vision into a product, and that's actually fun because it means that a project can go fairly quick. Everybody on board knows what's going to happen, and we like that because it's kind of a easy project, if I can call it that. Easy in the sense that everybody knows what they want, and this is one of them. We flew through this project, to be honest. Very cool. Yeah.
The thing, and also, like, this is a little video of you holding the Corsair Dominator memory that you guys designed for them. This memory module is already iconic in this hobby. In fact, I've got some in my desk right now. I know lots of people that have bought it, and I just sometimes wonder, Chris, do you realize that some of the stuff that you guys have designed and how popular it is worldwide?
You're gonna make me blush, dude.
It's true, though.
Yeah, no, we do our job, right? And the Corsair. So what happened, actually, the relationship with Corsair is that we started working with them about 7 years ago on a mouse and keyboard program. Me coming from the mouse industry from day one, we are really very good at that or experts in that, and we impressed the company with their first mouse and keyboard program, so that they said, hey, you know what, can you also look at our DRAM modules? And the first thing we said is, these things look super boring, man. I mean,
they did. They were.
So I said that if I'm a person, and that's what you do as a designer, you try to put yourself a little bit in the person who buys this. And I said, if I'm a person that is willing to invest money in this kind of a product, I'm gonna spend a little bit extra if I have to for something super cool that I can play with, that has a high-end finish on it, that looks like the technical spec that's underneath, that really is going to perform better than others, and that's how this project started. Yeah.
And now another one, the Corsair C70.
Yeah.
People don't realize how popular this case is. And okay, just for an example, at MMPC Tech about almost 4 years ago, we started making a replacement window for this case, and to this day, 4 years later, this is one of our #1 selling products in our store. Every day we're shipping out these replacement windows for this case, and I'm constantly hearing from people that have the Corsair C70 Vengeance. And maybe some of the people that are watching this right now are like, what, really? No, I'm serious. People love this case. And also the quality, the fit and finish of everything of this case, if you haven't seen one in person, is amazing, especially the front bezel. Now, there's a story behind that front bezel on this, isn't there?
Yeah, correct. So basically, the brief there was from the beginning from Corsair. We want something serious. There were some other Army cases coming out at the time, and they all looked a little bit toyish and too playfully. So the brief was from the beginning. Hey, make something sturdy, make something that that acts the part. So and then we went and did so. We used ammunition cases as a reference, and military shipping boxes and the clasps and the handles and everything are actually exactly the same as what they would use in military. And then we designed that product, and of course I was very happy with it. But then once we got to the engineering part of things, the manufacturing, all the suppliers were going, yeah, but we've never done that. We've never used a full metal case so we want the front to be in plastic, we want the handles to be in plastic, the clasp. So we had to fight very hard to prove to these guys that, hey, if the U.S. Army can make this, then you guys can too. and actually, this was really the first time that a full-on metal case was made within the computer industry, and we had to fight very hard because all the suppliers wanted to make this in plastic because in their mind that was easier, and initially they simply said, this is impossible, you can't make this. So we had to fight, and luckily Corsair stuck with us and said, no, we're going to stay with these guys. If we do this, we need to do this right. It needs to really be something you can throw over a building and it will still work,
Oh yeah, exactly. And a lot of the credit is to Corsair George, for really pushing this through on their end.
There's a team of people. It's never one person. Everybody thinks that innovation happens with this one guy sitting somewhere and having a light bulb moment. It never is. It's a team of people. I mean, the team works together, and that's not only Corsair but also with us. Then things happen. Magic happens. But and Corsair, George knows cases like nobody else, and yeah, he was a valuable part of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the next case from Corsair that still sells today is the Corsair Obsidian series. Yeah. And you got the flagship 900D. And I'm sure everybody watching this has heard of a 900D, maybe you've seen one in person. It's like the Goliath, Godzilla of towers. And this is also interesting, too. When I last spoke with you, I was mentioning to Chris that I had gotten one of the first samples in the U.S. of the 900D, and I made an interesting observation about it. There's these lower panels that pop open at an angle, and it's to access the lower cavity of it. It's a clever design, but one thing I noted was there was some magnets missing for the latching mechanism, and they kind of would easily flop open if I moved the case over to one other side of the shop and not dropped it, but just let it down, because the thing weighs like what was it, like 40 pounds or something. Anyways, and the door would pop open. I'm like, well, why the hell are these keep popping open? And there was some magnets that were missing. And I said to Chris, I said, Chris, did you realize that some of the magnets that you guys actually designed to be in this aren't in it?
Correct. Yeah, and I'm not surprised. At the risk of getting China now to listen into our conversation, magnets have become very cheap, very expensive. They quadrupled in price suddenly about a few years ago, and China controls the magnet market. So nobody gives a real answer why that happened. We think it has to do with something military. They need magnets in house apparently, and I guess that somebody, I would say not Corsair, but I guess somebody tried to save a buck in getting the pricing right to Corsair, and they took some of those magnets out because they became so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I almost wonder today if maybe they've changed that and they're in there now, but
I hope so. Yeah, because it's a great case, and really we spend a lot of time on this one. Also, we really and Corsair plays an important role in that. We built this case from the inside out. We really did. We looked at their old case. We said, how can we reorganize components? How can we restructure the case so it makes more sense for airflow and heat dissipation and cable management, and so to have a simple magnet give a bad feeling that would
that's what it is. It's a reflection of you,
that would be a shame.
Yeah. But I can only imagine how many 900Ds they've sold worldwide, though. Thousands.
Yeah, we never get those numbers because I think our clients are scared that if we know how much they sell, we're gonna raise our price or something. Which I can understand,
Oh, totally. Yeah. This video that I'm sharing now is from 2013, but we had this idea of let's completely dismantle the 900D in one day. And I don't remember how long it took. It probably says in the audio version of this, but towards the end of it, I've got all the parts spread out in the workshop, and there was so many parts, Chris, to this case. It just is it's amazing.
Yeah,
look, you can see, you can see. Let's see here. Play that again. Just all these parts.
Correct.
Can you reveal like how long it took to design something like that?
The 900D, the design work probably 3 to 4 months, back and forth, and then the engineering work another 3 to 4 months, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty fast, man.
Yeah. But So for this case, CRE8 was not involved with the engineering. The engineering was done between Corsair and their suppliers. And these suppliers know cases very well. So they can be pretty fast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you've also done several gaming mice for Corsair as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. One would think that when a designer is going to create the next trend or next style of gaming mouse, does somebody have to like really sit down and start just gaming and playing games all day long to like figure out what little nuances and things gamers need?
Yeah. Yes and no. We have guys that really are like that in the company, and they are like that because that's their hobby. That's what they do. That's how they spend their free time. Again, 20 years mouse design. So first of all, it's the ergonomics. The ergonomics do not change. A hand stays a hand, and you need to work around the ergonomics of the product that you're trying to build. And then it comes to button and performance. We know the principles of all the button locations, why they are used. We know very well how to play the games, and we do use them. But on the other hand, we need to watch out that we don't become too specific. So we are building a mass-produced product. So if we are going to build a mouse that Chris wants, probably the rest of the world doesn't want that, because it gets very specific in gaming. So you need to watch out that you're not trying to design something for yourself, but that is a mainstream product. And so not knowing all, not, for instance, being a professional gamer is actually working in our advantage. But we do study and research them, of course.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's like some of the photos that I've seen of your staff. It's like you all like really get together as a group and just bounce ideas and feedback off one another, versus it being, like you said, just one person there alone thinking, well, maybe this should do this. You actually, that. And do you see most design studios like that?
I can't talk about others that much, but it's not called Chris for stock design. It's called CRE8 design, and there's a very serious reason by that, because I'm not the one doing all the work, and it's not only me. I'm part of every project, and I put in my 2 cents, and so does everybody else. So a typical project starts with 3 to 4 people, depending on how big the project is, and you feed from each other. You see a sketch from another guy, and something suddenly pops up in your head. Oh, maybe we can do this, and so this becomes kind of a little bit of a roller coaster effect that I think is necessary in order to develop good products. So actually, nobody at CRE8 is allowed to say, "Oh, I designed this" or "I designed that." It's always a team effort. I don't believe in these light bulb moments.
Sure, I understand. Now, this whole RGB gaming keyboard thing exploded at Computex last year. And what do you think about it? What style keyboard do you personally prefer to use with a PC?
Not an RBG keyboard, but then again, I'm an old smart, right? I'm still a big fan of the metal keyboards that we started, the K90, K60. The reason being is that we did something there that changed the entire industry. So
you did.
Before we came along, nobody put metal plates outside on a keyboard, and this is again to the saying good things about Corsair. We came up with this and we said, like, look, guys, we should. If you use cherry keys, they need to be on a metal plate anyway. Why not place that metal plate on the outside, make it in a beautiful brushed aluminum, and show it off rather than putting it in 2 plastic cases? That makes no sense. And Corsair jumped on that and said, let's do it. And so that's what I like. The RGB keyboards are fine for me. I understand it's cool. You can play with zones. You can customize to the extreme almost, but it's not what I do.
Have you built your own PC?
Actually, we've built a lot of all of the PCs that you see. We play around with, and we put all components in there. But this is work for us, right? So we don't put the passion in it that you would. So I would never say that I come even close to you guys. But we've put some together, of course.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I've got here on screen is the Cougar Panzer Max. And that was another case. I was honored to get the first sample from Cougar and do a video review on it. And can you tell, is there any backstory on this design you can share that's interesting?
Outdo everybody else. that was the brief. Make us a case, outdo everybody else. Make it really something that we can be proud of as a company. It was always intended to be a flagship product. In some respect, we had within reason, we had a unlimited budget in terms of how much this was going to cost to produce. So we could play around. Yeah, we could play around with a lot of materials, and if you see earlier prototypes, it went much more extreme than this. And then we outbalanced. How much does certain processes cost, and does it trade off on the product, yes or no? And we based our principle on that. But actually, the beauty of that project really, and that doesn't happen a lot, is where you get like a free for all. You can design whatever you want. And think about cost later.
Yeah. There was. I love this page on your site, and if anybody that's watching wants to go check out Chris's site, it's www.CRE8-designstudio.com, and go there and check out the industrial designs page where he's got each year documented. And we're looking at the Cougar Panzer Max, and this wasn't how I discovered Create Design. I actually discovered Create Design after getting the Cougar 700M mouse a couple of years ago. And then I started a relationship with Cougar and checking out their products for them and doing a video and that. But what I really love about the Panzer Max, and I love really industrial, rugged looking, this looks really tough and that kind of military vibe about it. But I love this fact that you've got a picture of a Range Rover or Land Rover truck and your inspiration behind the design here.
Yeah, and that's very important. We sometimes get our ideas from the craziest places, and that's fun. But this one is kind of like pretty straightforward. We really wanted to give that rugged outdoors feeling to the product, that you can carry it around, you can go to LAN parties with it. You see some early interpretations where we were even strapping things on it, like you would strap outdoor gear on a Jeep when you go, you know, for safari or something like that. Really, that feeling.
Yeah. What I love about what you guys do is that, and when you see, here's the thing that's amazing about Create Design. When you get the product, a product that's done by you guys, although most people wouldn't know it is that there's like an intuitive feel to it. It just feels right. And like you can tell that a lot of thought gone into everything, and like the user experience. You guys emulate what the user goes through, so you can see the challenges that maybe, you know, building a system in it, like the hurdles that you have to go through. And your stuff, it just kind of, it's all intuitive. It makes sense. It works. It's good quality materials, the fit and finish.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing, man. I mean, do you know of like any other design firm that's on your level over there?
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but the reason why things work though is that the problem, not a problem, but the fact of our industry is a little bit that with 3D software getting better every year, a lot of people fail to do one thing, and you as builders, you will appreciate that, is they fail to make prototypes, and they build entire products in a 3D environment, and then only in manufacturing they start building their first working prototype, and then they realize, ooh, this is not that intuitive, this is not the right position, something you can only find out by doing, not by seeing it on a screen. And we pride ourselves at Create that everything, actually we get fairly late in a 3D stage. We go to prototyping, we make very rough prototypes. Most of them are very ugly. They're not something you want to see, and that is an important part of good product design. And some, not all, but some companies are not doing that anymore, and that's a bit of a shame. Yeah.
We have a related question to that, actually. Shenanigans wanted to know, do you think that if art and design schools, are they obsolete this day and age, or, you know, are they still important in the industry, or are people in your position gravitating more towards the natural artists versus those who have gone in and learned that entire process?
I don't think that design schools are obsolete. However, and this sounds a bit snobby, but I don't mean it that way. You can't teach design. This is something that everybody has a gift in life, and a designer is born with the gift to design. It sounds very strange. We have an eye for things. What a school does is it teaches you the tools. So, you know, everybody can draw. Everybody can learn how to draw or to paint. But to make a beautiful painting, that's a different thing. So. And that's a little bit the same with design. And if you would talk to my mom, she went through the misery of having to raise me. I was extremely opinionated from very young age about what I liked and what I wanted and what was cool and what was not cool. And this seemed to be coming normally to me. So in the sense that I think it's an obligation of a design school not to try to get as many students as possible, but really early on say, look, sorry, man, you don't have the gift. Do something else. Maybe you're a great accountant or something, but yeah, don't become a designer. That's what schools should do more.
You're exactly right, Chris. I know where you're coming from is, and it goes to me again, it's like making things intuitive. that's a certain skill set that very few people have. And what I find a lot is like with software, a lot of developers, it's just one person and they believe this is how the general public would, and you're like, find yourself, well, where's this? I can't find this at all. This doesn't flow. There's no flow to it. And to have that just that real insight to being intuitive is so important. And it's like musicians too. You can teach people how to play, but there's just some people that's got it inside of them, you know.
I guess in a sense it's to every job. You probably have even accountants or doctors or you know, so it's finding what you're good at, right? And that's different for everybody.
Yeah. And also there's with designers, there's like this inhibition to just try anything. I mean, and think, like, you know, outside the box. Just let's experiment and just go crazy and not worry about anything and just see what happens. That's when you stumble onto brilliance, is when you don't constrain yourself and just, like, you know. So it's pretty awesome. I wanted to ask you too, is there like a product design that's like your all-time favorite that we could actually see, like maybe by one of the years on your site?
The last one. Always the last one.
Always the last. That's just like a musician in their album.
And if I look at any of those older years that you see, I think, what the hell was I thinking? No, don't go there. So it's always the last one, to be honest. And then after a few months of being in love with it, then I go like, damn, that's wrong, and that's wrong. And then, you know, I guess that's progress, right? So I always see my own the mistakes that we made in a project, but that's part of, you know, evolution, right? I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Like, is there any like little like previews? I know, well, you're under NDA and you can't share anything, but are you guys keeping really busy right now for this next year?
Actually, some very cool stuff going on. We talked about it a little bit earlier. You know, voice recognition, artificial intelligence. So there's a whole new wave of products that are going to come to the market that are going to play around with that. To talk about things that are on the market already. Google Home is only the beginning. You know, that type of stuff is on the other hand, without divulging anything, robotics is another thing that people are getting interested in.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a little bit further down, but we have some of our clients that are coming to us and say, hey, we want to really start building, you know, proof of concept prototypes. Where is this going to go? How would this look, you know, 5 years down the line? So you know, that's the beauty of our industry. It keeps evolving.
Yep. And then also VR. We're looking at more VR.
Correct. So we were lucky to get involved with VR very early on through a company called Virtuix. We designed for them the Omni, which is a kind of a treadmill type of product that you can use to play VR games standing up without, killing your living room and falling over your couch and all that stuff. So this was a cool project. This is actually a startup company that came to us. They were very much struggling with making their idea mass producible. So we helped them to design the product, engineer it, help them with getting it into production. So we're very proud about that. And the advantage there was that we got involved with VR very early on. So that was pretty cool. So we got to play a lot of games, and you see the product being used here. And it's tougher than you think. You need to realize that a 3-foot person and a 6'2" person need to go in that thing and hang in all directions and, you know, start war games and not fall over. So this was really an interesting project for us.
Is this something that's going to be aimed at like the consumer market, or is it more like commercial?
No, commercial. About initially, part of the idea was that, you know, and that's the beauty of startups. Everyone is going to have one in their home, but you know, as the project matured, not everybody is going to have one in their home. And this is a little bit where VR is at the moment struggling. It needs to define its position in the market a little bit better. So this is really going to be geared on arcade gaming, on people that want to do it for a while, but not, you know, have to redecorate their living room, you know,
right.
to get it in there. Yeah.
All right. Okay, first off, I notice this guy is running in place here.
Correct.
So like that surface, what makes that surface of allowing him to do that?
We went through hell to get that right. It's a combination of the friction between the two different plastics on the soles of the shoes and the plastic material used for the main surface. And
so you got shoes that go with it.
correct. And the shoes also have sense. Explaining how you are running, how fast you're running, if you're turning, if you're not turning. So those things are also through the shoes and sensors, and that is to make things more accurate, so that it's really a high definition. And as you see the guy running in there, in the original an anecdote there was originally we thought that, hey, we could maybe make that base in separate parts because it would be easier to ship. And if you look at the base, it's very big, so the tool for that is extremely expensive. But we realized that we couldn't make it happen. It wouldn't glide properly. It wouldn't stay together properly. So that's what.
The last thing you want to have is somebody's heel catching on one of those plates and ripping it off of a.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you get into an area of lawsuits, right? That's
that's
a real fear with design, is that you have to think about all the things that could happen.
Yeah. Well, no, don't, because then you won't start. And this is problem. Some of the things that you pointed on it earlier. Most ideas, and to anybody having an idea, most ideas, there is always 100 things that make you say, oh no, let's not do it because of this or that reason. Don't give up so quickly. Most of the time there are solutions to most of the problems that you have, and it's called product development. So there's always problems, and there's always reasons that people will say, yeah, but maybe this, or we shouldn't do it for that reason. Step by step solve these problems, and you will get there. Yeah. But in the beginning, it may feel a little bit daunting. So actually, everybody thinks that designers are guys that are very relaxed, serve all the time, drink coffee. But we basically have a very stressful life, because if we do our job right, we innovate. And when we innovate, we do something that's never been done before, and everybody panics that it's not gonna work, it's not gonna happen. So we need to be kind of the voice of reason through a project. The voice of craziness and the voice of reason at the same time. Like, let's stay the course. Let's stay the course. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. So yeah.
Well, and it's hard to innovate and be under a deadline.
Yeah. Which in a sense sounds contradictory, but at the same time it also puts pressure on us, and you get good at that over time, right? You know when. And it's knock on wood, I get very superstitious here, but we've never had where we went through a conceptual stage and we said at the end, oh, we don't have anything. Lucky enough that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, that's part of our life. Yeah.
That's cool. Drew, is there any more questions from the chat? Looks like they're.
Yep. We have Martin Hutnick was wondering, will you have, and this looks like a question you can answer one of two ways, are you going to have a presence at CeBIT? And I'm guessing you can either have your own representation, or do you have products that you can talk about that are going to be shown at CeBIT?
No, I can't talk about anything that's good. That's up to our clients.
All right.
Normally, so CeBIT, CES, Computex, these are producers shows, and as we are not a production house, we are not allowed to join. So it's very simple. It's in there. It's in the regulation of the shows that only people that manufacture and sell electronics are allowed to. They're trying to change that a little bit. So. Because we are closely linked to the industry, we hope that one day we could have a booth there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey Chris,
if we don't have any product at CeBIT, we had a very bad year.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I mean, I was just thinking about this again. I've got Dominator memory in my drawer here. I've got the Cougar mouse I've been using for 2 years now, and I've got a C70 at home. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, if that's just me and I've got that many Create Design products in my life, that's pretty awesome, man. But I wanted to ask, have you thought about opening up an office in California for Create Design?
It works a little bit against our our competitive value. So you know, in all honesty, I started a company in Taiwan about 16 years ago. I've been here 22 years. I stand out here a little bit. I am a guy from Belgium that started a company in Taiwan. We have a very international team. We have guys from France, England, Germany, Spain, the US, Japan. And that's very difficult to emulate. That's very difficult to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to find another young guy that's going to live in Asia, build up a company. And so we have a very strong competitive advantage by being here. If I start a design studio in the US, I lose that advantage. I'm just another designer like everybody else. I'm not at the manufacturing side. I can't help my clients with that. So we had some presence for a while with regards to sales and client management, but we felt it wasn't really needed. And so we are going to open another office, but that's in China, not in the US. For the same reason, I don't have an office in Europe. I'm European, but you know, I think my advantage is stronger by staying here.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you've done products for Best Buy, which is a US-based company.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The beauty about Best Buy, and this is no secret. The beauty of Best Buy is that they don't have a manufacturing arm, so they are kind of not linked to one way of production or one technology. They kind of look at the market and they go like, hey, we know the sales channel part of things. Where do we see a hole or a need that we can fill with whatever product? So the beauty of Best Buy, they work with us a little bit different than most of our other customers. They come to us and they say, we want to get into a certain product category rather than we want to build a product. We go back to them and give them many ideas that would work in a certain product category, and they pick and choose the ones that they think they can put in a store. So it's a bit different. And once we have established which product they take, we find suppliers with them.
Is there like some products that whoever's watching can look for at Best Buy that you guys would be behind the design? Any brands?
For their own brands, we do Insignia. We work for all the brands except for their modal brand. We haven't worked for that yet, but we've worked for Insignia in the past. We've done Rocketfish, we've done Dynax, and that goes from headsets to mice to even in-car charging plugs and all that. You'd say that's very boring and not interesting, but normally what happens with a lot of companies when they do this small stuff like chargers and car chargers, they just come to Asia, shop around and find one here and put their name on it. And so we convinced Best Buy to actually spend some design time on that and say, okay, let's design a family of chargers that look the part, that are the part, and it's a very small product, but it's hugely successful for them because as a product group in the store, they look more professional than everybody else, and they sell well. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. This Rocketfish, that name is so funny. Any idea like the origin of that name, Rocketfish?
I never dared to ask. I think client always brings great idea. Let's do it. No, I'm not involved in that. The name was there before we got on board. I really don't know where it comes from. Never asked.
Interesting. That's a question for our anybody in the chat. If you know the origin of the Rocketfish name, post it in the chat, because that's always made me laugh. That's cool. Now, let's say that Droog has an idea for a gaming keyboard, because we've really gotten into mechanical keyboards. And Droog, let's say you've got an idea for a keyboard that's new, and you kind of like, you've got it in your mind, but you don't know how to make it a reality. And you only want to make like, say, 100 of them. Chris, could you help Droog make his dream a reality?
Sure. Yeah, that's what we do. And you know, again, another advantage that if you low quantity. The moment you come to most Asian manufacturers and you start talking low quantity, they're not interested in you, and especially the ones that are easy to find. So the more professional, the more international a manufacturer is, the bigger they are. The bigger they are, the more higher your volume needs to be in order to work with them. So, but there is a whole group of I don't want to call it second tier, but they're not so visible to the world, of factories that are actually very specialized in low volume manufacturing, and they do excellent work. And if you would be in the West, it's very difficult to find them. They don't speak English. They barely have a website. But by being here 20 years, we have built up a network of suppliers that can help us with that.
Yeah. And the quality of the materials, do you often have a lot of input into, like, if they, well, like you're saying, yeah, the Corsair C70, they wanted to be plastic, but there was a real push to make it metal instead.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
Are you often the one that convinces everybody involved, like, we should really use this material instead, or is there a fight?
Normally, so that's part of the material finishes and color proposition is part of our job. And what we do to our clients on typically is that near the end of the design, not the engineering, but the design project, we offer them different color proposals. And they have different monetary budgets. And then it's a little bit of communication between the client and us about what makes sense to spend dollars on. And in the case of that C70, we really said, no, if you make it plastic, you ruin the whole project. I know it's going to be more expensive in metal. I know. So that communication, I wouldn't say that we control that, but we really strongly give opinions to our clients. And in that case, Corsair was 100% behind us. It was more the supplier that didn't want to do it. So sometimes we hint our clients, like, look, go for the more expensive one. Yes, you spend $1 more in production, but it will sell, hundreds of thousands more. Then that's a very good dollar spent. That type of negotiation happens, yes.
Drew passed me a note, and he said what's so special about his gaming keyboard is that the body of it is made from carbon fiber. Now, what do you think about that, Chris?
Taiwan is the right place to be. Most carbon fiber parts in the world are still made in Taiwan. So if you look at, many people don't know that, but most high performance components for bicycles, for instance, for performance bikes, are made in carbon and are all made in Taiwan. They may have Japanese names, but they're actually Taiwanese companies behind them. So carbon fiber is labor intensive. So if you would actually say, I want to make a 500,000 keyboards using carbon fiber, that may be problematic. But if you say low volume, actually, then carbon fiber could be an advantage, because the tool cost is lower, but the labor cost is higher, type of thinking.
Chris, would you even consider if somebody came to you and wanted just like one computer case done, just one case that kicked ass, was the be-all, end-all of computer tower designs, would you be able to help out that individual?
Bill, you're much better than that than I am. Trust me on that. No, I would. Well, I've never done it. I would have to, but I would never dare to compete with you guys. That's not what we do, right? Yeah.
But if we were to pay you,
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I've never considered, and maybe I don't, because we think differently, right? We very quickly think about mass production, right? How is this going to be? And on the other hand, not having to do that, my guys would love this project.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And what I love is these, speaking of carbon fiber, these Sunrise bikes, these downhill, which I didn't even know there was a downhill category for these types of bikes. I guess I'm out of it. But these look really high tech. And I also caught a video where you had like 3 of your designers, Lee Chen and 2 other guys, riding their mountain bikes and just kind of like getting a feel for what little nuances and things they should incorporate into this design. And what this design kind of reminds me of is like a real motocross bike.
Correct. It's inspired. Even the suspension that you see underneath there is inspired by motorbike suspension, where you bring the point of gravity low, you bring it underneath your body, and actually that works. And we have 3 guys here that are almost semi-professional mountain bike riders, and this is part of why they're in Taiwan. Taiwan has a very cool mountain cluster on one side of the island where you can really do very good mountain biking. So for them, this was like the funniest project ever. I think even if I didn't pay them a salary, they would still have done it.
Do sometimes does the manufacturers, as a thank you, say, "Hey, each one of you get to have one after they're produced"? Does that happen?
We get a sample normally of most of our product, but that stays in the company. So yeah,
sure.
not as sexy as you want it to, but that's the reality. Yeah, and even normally, if we do our job well, the product is successful. Then in the beginning, they have production issues in the sense that they can't keep up with demand, and so then every single product becomes very valuable to them because you need to sell, right? They need to see that they meet demand.
Yeah. I imagine too with like some of your designs that when you did the initial design for a company that they came back to you and said, we really like this. We want to continue this as like an ongoing series. Like next year, we're going to do the newer revised version of it. And
correct. Yeah. Correct. So in a sense, that's the relationship with Corsair is that on their mice and keyboards, we have been working generation upon generation together with them.
Yeah. When I mentioned that you guys were going to be on this Hangout today, somebody said, "Oh, I just ordered my Cougar 700M mouse, and I wanted to get the 700K keyboard, but it doesn't have the RGB in it."
And I'll say from experience, that's not a detriment to that keyboard at all. That was a wonderful keyboard to do a review on. And all of the fit and finish. It's one of the first ones I've had too where the keys, where they're floating above the deck, and it didn't feel like the keys were going to snap off just with that perception that you get sometimes with the floating keys. So I loved that keyboard.
Yeah, it's been a very successful product also for Cougar.
Yeah, here it is right here, Drew. Let's go down memory lane here. We're going back to June 1st, 2015. First impressions, what did you love about it? Feedback. You've got an opportunity to give the designer feedback.
What I really loved, across the top, those buttons that were inlaid in the plastic there was that solidity to that solid click, the mechanism that was used. It was a very... I would almost call it like a military kind of feel to it. When you clicked that in, you knew that the contact was made, and whatever the functions were, they were happening. And it's all of the non-standard keyboard buttons, they stood out. And so you wanted to play with them. You wanted to really just get into what are all of these extra functions for? What are they going to do for me?
But you said it correctly. The tactile feedback of something is extremely important to us, and we call that the BMW door versus the Toyota door effect, right?
it's a thump versus a ching.
Yeah, exactly, and that is what you also tell your. And we are for this keyboard we didn't do the mechanical engineering, so we are not in charge of how they built the switches underneath, but we give comments on that feels just right, that doesn't feel right, that feels like wobbly and not trustworthy. You said the word. It's extremely important that first impression after you unpack it and you put your hands on it, that's going to be the impression that you have for a long time. And if that is wrong, it's tough to change your mind.
And what the other part that really impressed me is that removable pad. I normally just throw out any of the keyboard rest. And having that option that, to be able to stack it just a little bit higher under your gaming hand, it would have been nice if it would have been a little more modular, so it could have been left or right side, but I understand you're going for the market that's predominantly WASD. But yeah, that was actually one of the first key rests in a long time that I didn't just pitch to the side either. It actually felt really good.
I have my beef with keyboard manufacturers and key rests. I cannot understand that it's always the afterthought and let's make a palm rest, but let's make it so cheap that it actually doesn't work for anybody.
Right.
Then don't do it. And actually many a keyboard are making that mistake. I don't get it. I really don't get it. This is again how you approach your device, and it really is. They try to cost down 100% on palm rest. So when we work with our clients, we kind of really try to convince them, look, guys, spend some money on it. This is where the hands are going to be for many people, and that's an extremely important part of the overall feeling of the product, not an afterthought. Then don't do it. If you say I need a palm rest under, and it is really like that, we need the palm rest to be under 50 cents. Yeah, okay,
I keep telling people that you think that it's your eyeballs that interfaces with the computer the most, but no, 98% of what you do is through your fingertips. And if you're not comfortable, and if you're hurting yourself especially, you just don't want to be in that place. No.
And I wish I could share some of the more crazier palm rest ideas that we have come up with.
I can imagine.
And there is because what you said is right, and actually we wanted that part to be both movable, and we wanted different heights in there and different softness. But that got killed. But at least we got that extra part in there.
Look at this, Chris. He even went as far as dismantling to look inside. Droog, which switches were in this board?
These are
cherries, MXs.
Yeah, they were MX Blues in that one. And I remember that they felt really good, really good.
Well, Cherry has a bit of a monopoly on. Well, it's changing. Others are coming up with good solutions too. But
Well, I tell you, if somebody manages to recreate the IBM Model M feel, they've got me. I don't care. That's still the gold standard.
Chris, is there a particular keyboard that you like that it feels right to you, that you guys were behind the design, or?
So you should see my setup. I sadly enough have a Lenovo S whatever notebook that I carry around. I'm always on the go, right? So I don't even have my life is cut between meetings and telling people which direction to take, and so I'm always on the go. I don't even have. You'd think as a designer I would have an Apple notebook, but even no, it's a very, very disappointing little piece of equipment I got.
Martin in the chat, he's got a suggestion for a future keyboard design: is make the top of the keyboard easy to take off for cleaning the inside.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So some keyboards have water channels that they claim that you can use more not really water, but wet cloths and all that. But cleaning a keyboard has been it's I'll tell everybody, if you've had your keyboard a year, open it up and see what's inside.
Oh, I don't want to show you the buttons on my Cougar mouse. I've got to clean them, But it's in a workshop environment, so.
Hey, it needs to be like that, right?
Yeah, and somebody on Twitter, when I posted the video, they said, "Is it just me, or is it?" Am I tight? I don't care for these transformer, robotic, sharp-angled things.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know. I like that stuff.
No, well, but correct. What I mean by correct is that everybody has their own opinion about what tool they should use, right? So I don't think it's 100% perfectly correct to say, I don't like these transformer type mice. I'm more of an ergonomic, softer. And we do those too. So if people, again, this is it, right? So we work to the brief of our clients. So our clients have an initial idea where they want to position their product, who they want to target, and lucky enough, we all don't think alike, because then it would be a very boring world,
Right. And on that note, Chris, where can people find you? Do you are you on social media at all?
We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter account. We're on LinkedIn. You can look through our website. All our faces are there. Our address is there. It's very easy to get in contact with us. You'd be surprised how quickly you get to me.
Okay. And anybody that follows me on Twitter, the recent tweets, I included CRE8 Consulting in my tweet. So like I said, if you've got an ideas for a product and you want to like launch it on your own, you need help, this is the guy, his company, CRE8 Design. They can make your dream a reality. And at some point when I've got enough money and I want to do a retail production of a computer case, you know, I know where I can go.
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
So Chris, thank you so much for taking your time this Monday morning. I'm sure you've got emails and stuff you got to get to. Thank you so much. It was very insightful and fun.
Thank you, guys. I mean, you had to spend your Sunday evening to talk to me, so that's even worse. You know,
it was worth it, man.
I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and then thank you for taking the time and organizing this.
Right on. And thank you to everybody that was in the chat tonight. All the comments and questions. Thank you so much. Shout out to all you guys. Thank you for supporting us. And we will be back again next Sunday on our regular schedule with an entirely different topic. It's going to be topical, though.
Oh, yes. That's going to be a, let's just say it's going to be a fun one to bring everyone out of the woodworks. You're going to be wanting to rush off to Twitter and start screaming about the topic when you figure it out.
So close us out, Drew.
All right. So once again, CRE8. It's CRE, the number 8. I punch that into Google and you're going to find them right away. Fantastic. I love peeking behind the curtains and getting a little feel for how the magic is done. But I keep telling you guys, man, you have that one thing that's out there that's really irritating you. You got to paint it, you got to cut it, you got to make it yours and mod it, you know? So find that thing. Come on over to themonzu.com and show us, you know, if your lawnmower, you know, is looking a little janky and you got to get it ready for the new season, we want to see your paint jobs. We want to know what you're doing to keep this hobby going, you know, teaching your kids how to fix things again. That's a great thing to do. But the most important thing is you just get out there and you do what you love and come share it with us. And you'll find all of our stuff, Twitter, Facebook, right there on themonzu.com, right in our forums. And I'm just going to start pointing everyone to the forums because we want to bring forums back, man. We're going to keep fighting that fight. Screw all the social media stuff. I'm old. I'm cranky. You guys have a good week. We'll talk to you next time.